Good afternoon. Today is March 14th, and if you have a good memory, you may remember today was a heavy snow day in New York City. So the office is a little bit quiet because some of the patients have been scheduled to another date to come. So I just have a couple of spare moments, and I thought it may be a good idea to discuss about egg freezing since today is a snow day. And having doing egg freezing since 2004, when we were one of the 3 IVF centers started this egg freezing project in the United States. Time flies. It's been almost 13 years. So what that really means is that recently, while we're still freezing more and more eggs, we also see more and more ladies, which we haven't seen for many years, are coming back to thaw their eggs to try to have a baby. So that generates many new kind of scenarios and information. I think it will be nice to share with you all who are potentially considering to freeze the eggs, because for many centers, even ourselves, when we start freezing eggs, we don't really have that much experience of what is going to happen, because you won't know until many years later. The reason for that is many ladies, when they freeze their eggs, they don't use the eggs right away, usually minimal after 3 to 5 years before they came back. So your experience as a patient or as a physician or any centers in dealing with the patients that are ready to thaw their eggs are very different from when you just initial consult the patient when they just want to ask you how to freeze eggs. And your real experience in dealing with the ladies that are ready to thaw eggs will start in 5 years from the first time you will freeze eggs. So I would like to share this part of the information, which also I would like to have our colleagues who are freezing eggs for patients in other centers share my experience. Because for your centers who are just start freezing eggs 2-3 years ago, you may not really have this kind of experience until another 3-4 years later, when your patient you froze eggs now or in 2-3 years ago are starting to come back to thaw their eggs. But before we even go that far, I just want to briefly talk about the history of egg freezing. The first egg freezing technique using so-called, now we all know, called vitrification. This basically means fast freezing. And this was actually originally was discussed and proposed in 1987 in Washington Zoo, believe it or not, to save endangered species. However, due to the run out of the fund, this project was dropped. Then my personal friend, a colleague, Dr. Kuwayama, we called him Masa, in Japan, and pick up this technique and continue to work until 2002 to 2003, and they realized they can freeze the egg with more than 97% survival rate. Now, what does it mean? That means nobody believed the result. They said this is bullshit. We don't believe it. In reality, as of 2003, only 12 babies was born from egg freezing using an older technique from 1986 to 2002. Only 12 babies was born using egg freezing and using older method. The reason for that is that egg freeze and thaw survival rate is less than 5%. So when Masa Kuwayama said he have a new technique, 97% egg will survive, nobody believed, including myself. First of all, I thought I would read the wrong abstract because the abstract was translated from Japanese to English. Then I personally asked him, and I still couldn't believe that he could make those. So that's how the egg freezing started in the 2003. The reason for that is that egg is a large cell. It's about 120 micrometer. Big cell. And with a regular cell is less than 5 micrometer. So in a larger scale, in a regular scale, red blood cell or sperm cell is about that size, and the egg is gigantic. So the size of the egg versus an other cell is like a football studio versus the footballs. Now, what does that mean is that most part, 98% of the components of this egg are water. Chemical words called H2O. Water, and once you turn to freeze, they become ice crystal. And crystal will destroy the cells right away, will destroy the eggs. That's why egg freezing is so hard for many years. And Kobayama method, this vitrification, is actually will avoid ice formation, so the water directly become glass. And that's how revolution the whole process. And it completely changed the way of our life. And now egg freezing become a part of a normal lifestyle in many ladies when they are still busy pursue their career, education, or just have fun to have a life. Meanwhile, they don't want to miss the opportunity one day to undergo motherhood. So egg freezing completely changed the way of people's life. Today, almost every single day, we have a lady come here freeze eggs. But when we started freeze eggs in 2004, we probably have one patient a month. But now we have 2 to 6 patients per week. But still, it's minority. The egg freezing, the center of the question about the egg freezing is how many eggs you need to freeze. It really depends on the quality of the egg, which is related to the age. So if you are less than 35 years old, you should freeze at least 10 eggs. If you are 36 to 38 years old, you should freeze 20 eggs. If you are 39, theoretically you should freeze 30 eggs. Now this is just theoretical mathematics models. Even if you freeze 2 eggs, still better than none. And even you freeze 30 eggs here, there's no guarantee that you will have a live birth baby. How do we work on the formula? It's all based on the age. 23 years old, a lady at the peak of the fertility, about 80% chance to become pregnant. 35 years old is a milestone. And after the age of 35, the chance to get pregnant drops dramatically. Meanwhile, miscarriage rate increase. So that's why when you are here, you freeze 10 eggs. When you are here, you need to freeze 20 or 30 eggs. So with the vitrification technique, then the majority egg will survive very nicely. Now I want to spend a few minutes to discuss about what's a strategic plan for the lady who want to freeze eggs at the age here, 39 and above. Because each egg at the age of 39 the chance the egg will become embryos from the egg to become embryos, about 30%. And the chance this embryo will carry normal chromosome numbers is about 30% after PGS. Now you want to know what is the PGS, what is the chromosome abnormality, check our other blogs which have another very good explanation. So really each egg only have a 10% chance they turn out to be normal embryo. Let's say for the smile face. And this embryo, the chance to make a live birth baby is about 60%. So what I really want to say now, the take-home message, listen very carefully for the next 2 minutes, is that while you want to freeze eggs at the age of 39, from medical point of view, ideally you want to freeze embryos rather than freeze eggs. Because you don't know if your egg can make it to embryo, 30% chance. And you don't know when your embryo will be normal, it's only 30% chance. So if you freeze the embryos, you have a much better idea what you have for the future. Even though you will not change the reality, you freeze the egg now, fertilize the egg now, or fertilize it in 10 years. But practically, if you freeze the embryo now, if it turns out to be that your egg have a very low chance to make it to the embryo, then you may need to work harder and do more cycles. And you still have an option to make up the chance to have a live birth baby. If you start this process, when you're ready, say 5 years late, when you become 44 years old, then you turn out that the result is not what you expect, then you don't have opportunity to try again. So this, I hope I made this very clear. So take the home message is that if you are 39 years or older and you are really thinking, want to make sure you have a baby at home by freezing eggs, you may want to consider freezing embryos, because by that time you already know the quality and you're not going to have a surprise that it turned out not the way you want. Of course, last but not least, 2 points. Number one, you will say, but I'm single, that's why I came to freeze eggs. Now you want me to find a sperm, that's not what I want. Correct. What we said is from a medical point of view, I want you to think, if for some reason you are open for embryo freezing, then the result will be more prominent. That, by the way, that explains most of the time the patient asking me and they tell me, said, oh, my doctor told me embryo freezing more successful than egg freezing. No, it's not about the technique, it's not about what you freeze. It's about when you freeze embryos, they are already fertilized. They already know, you can know whether it's genetically normal. That's why some of the embryo freezing more successful. No, it's not the technique, it's about what you freeze. Come back to what I want to talk about is that I just want to tell you another personal experience that every month when we thought eggs always have some lady, the egg did not make it, even though we give all these numbers and some egg from another centers. So patients always feel that you should have just saw some egg early. Now, I'm not saying this never happen with us. When you freeze millions and millions of eggs, there always was one lady egg may not necessarily do very well, while 98% of the time you will do very well. But it comes to each individual patient, whether this egg freezing can make a baby either 0 or 100%. It's not about certain percentages. So that's why if you are open or if you know what the sperm to use, consider to freeze the embryo is as important as freezing eggs. And only difference, embryo freezing is more promising because you will know the results right away rather than waiting for many years to find out if your eggs will do the trick or not. So that was I want to discuss about it for today in a snowing day in New York City. I think that no topics is better to discuss about egg freezing. It's never too late, it's never too early to freeze the eggs or freeze the embryos, but I think no matter whether you made your decision or not, you should at least check out your ovarian function to see if you still have lots of time before you decide if you want to freeze anything or not, or you have very, very minimal time left. It all depends on your ovarian status functions, which can be easily evaluated by a transvaginal ultrasound doing antral follicle count. It's called AFC. It's called antral follicle count. It's a 5 minutes ultrasound scan of your ovaries. You have all the important information you need to know for your life. So I hope you enjoyed today's conversation, and maybe one day we'll see you in our center. Have a nice day. Bye.